Happy New Year! I hope everyone had a wonderful rest of the holiday season and a smooth transition into the new year. I thought that I would start off this first video of the year bringing a fresh breath of life into some projects that I have had hanging around for quite some time. I'm sure some of you are also wondering what happened to the rest of Craftmas. I did not get out all of my 12 videos of Craftmas and we did not finish the sweater. I kind of left you on a bit of a cliffhanger and I can give you a little bit of a sneak preview, but I do have something cast on my knitting machine and we will get to it, I promise you, this year. Today I am going to see if I can find all of my unfinished projects and my works in progress that I haven't touched for a long time, and let's talk through what the project was originally supposed to be, if I think I might be continuing it, and if not, what I might do with it. Maybe these are candidates for Finish It February. I've never done a Finish It February, but Roxanne Richardson hosts it and I know Claude does it every year, so maybe these are candidates for Finish It February. Let me go get all of the UFOs I can find. I found, I think, the first batch of UFOs. So this is, I think it's called a waffle sweater. So the body is completely done. It's a little hard to see. It's knit with mohair. The thing is, my choice of mohair, which is alpaca bloom, because I find that alpaca sits much nicer on me and on my skin, it doesn't irritate me as much. It's not as consistent as other mohair, so there's a little inconsistencies to it, which adds a really nice texture. But the lace pattern on this is quite intricate, and I think you can see a little bit of like the up and down bits. In person, it does definitely muddy the pattern a little bit. It definitely isn't as easy to tell or see. I still like the effect and I love the color. Blue is one of my absolute go-to colors. Blue, green, I love them. But I started on the sleeves and I never really got anywhere. It was one I wasn't knitting for the channel. It's a modern pattern. It's just one that I wanted to wear. I think I started it like very, very late last winter season. And so by the time I got to the sleeves, it was like boiling hot and I just didn't feel like knitting with a very warm material. This is one I really want to finish and could be a good one for Finish It February, because I am so close to finishing and I really do want to wear it. I enjoy it as a pattern. This one is a bit complicated. I'm not sure 100% what to do with it. I started this, I think, about 2 years ago. It is the Terrazzo Slipover by Petite Knits, and the yarn I chose is very heavy. It is City Tweed Aran Weight by Knit Picks, held together with a Loft lace weight, which makes it like really fuzzy and beautiful, but it's definitely, I think it was intended to be a slightly lighter slipover. I do really like the details on the body here and that it's like a nice slipover, and it's something that I would definitely wear. I'm nearly done, I think, with the collar. So the body is fully done. I'm nearly done with the collar, and then I need to do the ribbing for each of the sleeves. Intended this to be something to wear on a particular trip, and that trip has come and gone for a long while now. When I put it away, I wasn't super happy with it, like I said, because of the weight, but now that I just picked it up again, it is really, really soft. The City Tweed is a merino wool, alpaca, and donegal tweed, so it's really, really nice. You add the mohair to it, and it's just like the softest thing. It's the perfect weather because we're in deep winter, so I'm not sure what order to do them in, but this might be another one where maybe I do this one first for Finish It February, and then if and when I finish this, then I can move on to the waffle sweater, or if I should do that one first. Let me know what you think. I don't know, it's another modern pattern, which is why I never made a video about it, because this channel tends to be more about vintage and antique knits and crafts and things. This next one's kind of a fun one. I made this Japanese knot bag from some fabric I had left over from an apron that I made, which is chickens. I love it. And this is a scarf that I started to teach a friend on a trip how to do brioche knitting. Just a long brioche piece of fabric. I will say though, it is so soft. What yarn is this? It's simply alpaca Aran Weight. It is unbelievably soft. Wow, from Knit Picks again, and I really like it. I might contact my friend and see if she wants it, if she wants to knit with the rest of it, see what she wants, and then depending on our answer, I'm not sure what I'll do. If you have any ideas on what to do with basically I think this is one skein and this is an unused skein of simply alpaca Aran Weight. It's 246 yards each. I'm not sure. It's very soft. Alpaca does tend to, I can only think of the word in German right now, ausleiern, like stretch out over time. It doesn't have the same amount of bounce back. So I always try to consider a little bit more carefully what I would knit with an alpaca yarn. Okay, next, which is in my little bag that says Wool Enemy #1, which is a very cute moth. I like moths, but I don't like them to be anywhere near my wool stash. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I had this basically as a way to keep my hands busy when I travel. I'm a nervous traveler. I have anxiety with flying and things. So I actually knit and crochet to do because I like it, but it also helps me a lot when I'm traveling. And so this was made during a trip to the UK 2 years ago now. It is I think this is from the 1840s. It's a collar mignonette, and I got not very far at all, as you can see. It's made with number 10 crochet thread. It's a cute pattern, but I actually don't think that I'm going to wear this collar at all. Like, I don't have a use for it at the moment. So I do have a healthy amount of number 10 cotton crochet thread, so I don't know that I need to unravel this project, but this can kind of go in the I might want to label it a little bit better, and then I might put it in like the keep my hands busy area or emergency crochet cotton number 10 thread spot, so that if I need it I can use it, but I don't like to unravel work. I don't know that anyone really does, but it just doesn't feel great to know that I have that there and not do anything with it. I don't know. That one's a little bit of a mystery to me. Not sure what to do with that one. This one is actually a project I've been looking for a while because I started it, made a mistake, got very sad, and put it away. So this is a vintage sweater, but I wanted to knit it just because I wanted to knit it and I enjoyed it. So this is, I think this is from Jack Frost, and it's the Puzat sweater because I like that instead of the ribbing and the traditional style, they had cabling as an interest in the bottom and towards the neckline. I really like the shape of these sweaters from Jack Frost. Jack Frost is one of my favorite vintage sweater designers. And I got from Lang Yarns Jawohl in Superwash. It's really fun because it's a sock yarn, so it comes on the inside. I can feel it in here. I might have taken it out of the other one, but I don't see it. Oh, it's still in there. It comes with like a little bit on a spool so that when your heels or toes wear out, you can darn it with it. So it's this modern yarn that's still made with bits where you can fix it. And I came to this wool, it's 25% virgin wool, sorry, 75% virgin wool and 25% nylon, which is typical for sock wools. And I came across this yarn because Claude of Retro Claude did an entire video comparing vintage yarn that she owns that are in the exact weights that you typically need for sweaters of the time with modern wools to see what the best option would be for her to reproduce and recreate some sweaters. And Lang Jawohl was one of the top ones, and I'd never tried it before, so I wanted to. In this beautiful forest green color, which once again, can you tell, blues and greens are my absolute favorite. I did start knitting the bottom of the back. I made a mistake. I sometimes lose where I am when I'm making cables, and they say like knit 4 rows and then make a cable. I really need to put stitch markers down because when I put my work down, I pick it back up, I don't count the rows properly, and so my cables weren't spaced correctly. So I took the time to unwind it, and then I was sad and I've left it, but I even kept the needles I was using together in my kit, and they're kind of fun because they're really bendy like they're supposed to be. They are a, let's see, 10-inch Susan Bates no glare, 2.5 millimeters. Yep, a US size 1. I love this pattern, love the yarn. I want to knit it up definitely. This might be not one though that I do as part of like Finish It February, but I'm also not sure if it's one that should have a video about it because it is, I mean, typically I like to make videos that are a little bit unique or have an interesting twist on knitting them. Like I knit some sweaters while I moved across the country, or I tried a knitting machine on this new pattern for the first time. So let me know if you would be interested in just a straight, here's a pattern I like, here's a wool I like, and I'm gonna make a vintage sweater because I want it. Let me know if that's something you would be interested in. Okay, so this next one is a little sad for me. I hope I put it down for a good reason, and I hope that I can pick it up again in the not too distant future. So I had put out there that I was actually signed up to do a world record breaking amount of knitting while running a marathon, and I had started training for that last year. I knit this panel actually as something that I could potentially wear while I was running the marathon because I thought that would be like a fun little thing to do. And this is bamboo pop sock, so it's 55% bamboo, 37% cotton, and 8% PBT. So I thought it was like the right material to use to make out of something that I would exercise in. But for medical reasons, I can't do that right now. It's not forever. So I'm hoping that I can pick it up again, but I have no exact time frame. It just depends on how everything goes. I'll see how everything goes, and I'll see when I can get the clearance to start training again and start picking it up again. So this is not something that I'm gonna touch for a bit, and I'm probably gonna put it in a place where it doesn't make me look at it so often, because it does make me, like, it is, I'm glad things are, you know, being taken care of for me, but at the same time it does remind me that I can't do something that I was really hoping to be able to do by November of last year. So this next one I think has been on my to-do list for a year now, since last January. I actually have already knit an entire panel. Can you guess what this is? If you watched my video last year where I found someone's like journal, they had put in some recipes, they had put in some knitting instructions, and one of the knitting instructions was from Vogue's first series of knitting, and it was a blouse. And they wrote all the instructions down, and I could not find the original copy of Vogue's knitting magazine. Of course, when I got the book and I looked into it, it was like 2 weeks before someone had sold a copy of Vogue's first knitting manual, and I have been looking. I look every morning the last year to try and find it, and I have not found it again. Claude did mention that it might be in the British Library, but she would have to be kind enough to go for me or take me for me to look at those archives, and it's like an over 10-hour flight away from me, so that's not super feasible. If you have it in your collections or someone you know's collections, please let me know, because oh my goodness, I think it's interesting to do like a mystery knit, because I know Just Vintage Crochet, and we did one together. It's unique where you don't know exactly what you're making, like you kind of know, but you don't know 100%. But this is like, you'll never know on this one unless we find the original pattern of what it's supposed to look like. I can follow the instructions as best as I can, but at the end of the day, it is a bit of a guess. And especially sometimes the construction or assembly instructions are like, put on the collar as it looks. And you're like, well, I don't have a picture for that. So that's a bit of a mystery for me. I definitely want to do this one, but I have been holding on to it in the hopes that I could find the original pattern book so that I wouldn't look at it, but after I attempted to knit it, there is something for me to compare it to and see how close I was, but I don't know how realistic that is. And so this is definitely one that I want to tackle in this coming year. In that notebook too, there was actually a knit sample that the, I'm guessing, original owner knit up. And so I found wool that for me could be as close in weight and color. And I decided that Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift in the color, I think this is oatmeal. Yeah, oatmeal was as close as I could potentially get it. So this is one that I think you will be seeing a video on for sure. I'm just putting a call out there. If you have like a vintage knitting book collection or know someone who does, or maybe your mom or grandma had one, if you could just take a peek and if you see Vogue's first series of knitting in there, please let me know. I would be so thankful. Okay, let me go look at the other cabinet where I think I might have one more project. Now this is by far my longest work in progress, and I'll tell you why. But first I have to get it out of its storage situation here. What is going on with this project? What even is this project? I think is probably the best first question to ask. And that is, if you haven't been around for the last, like I said, I don't know if it's 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, I started to knit an 1890s biking ensemble because I found a book. It's up there. I even scanned it in on my website, so if you want to look at it, it's in Google Drive, you can see it. There's an entire set of knitting patterns from the 1890s to make a women's bicycling outfit, and I thought that would be so fun. So I started it, and I got to the point where, hold on, can you see this? This is one leg of the bloomers. There we go. Here's one bloomer leg, which is huge, of course, as to be expected for the 1890s. I have the bottom of the jacket done about this distance, and the other bloomer leg about this far on one side. I have 3 skein / balls of yarn left. I made the not super intelligent choice of dyeing my own yarn because it was a certain shade of blue that I wanted to match from an antique shade book that I had, and I couldn't find it anywhere online, so I decided to dye it myself. And then I didn't do the thing that I feel like I realize now that I should, which is basically dye way more than you think you need. Especially for 1890s patterns, you're given some estimates, but it's hard to know what that means in terms of modern yarns and weights and things. And really I should have dyed minimum twice the amount that I did. So I attempted to re-dye yarn because I had taken some notes of my original dyeing process, and I attempted to dye more yarn of the same kind with the same process, and I ended up with a very, very different color. And the problem is that I'm like halfway through one leg, partway through the jacket, and I did pose the question to my patrons of what I should do. Should I make the pants one color and then knit the jacket a different one, even though it's supposed to be all one color, or there is a contrast that comes in, so should I use that sooner? Like, it's been a lot of work to get it to this point, and adding onto that where I've been having some pain when I knit, it takes a long time for me to get through this amount of fabric, and this is one leg. It's so much. So I was a bit on the fence as to what exactly I should do. I also didn't have access to it for almost like 8 or 9 months. So I recently had access to it again, and now I have it again. And I'm still not 100% sure what to do. Currently, I'm leaning towards using a dye remover. I tested it and it does respond quite well to dye remover. So removing the dye of everything I've already knit, or at least like finishing the other pants leg and putting my, and like unraveling the jacket and getting that done. Using dye remover on that and all the new yarn that I dyed, and then dyeing it all together, all one color, so that it all matches, maybe once I'm finished knitting it up, you know? And especially like if I use a much deeper, darker color, it could hide some of the inconsistencies. The other thing that I'm now realizing, and looking back on it with a little bit more experience, is I used an alpaca yarn for it because, again, I have sensitivities. Alpaca does the best against my skin, but it's super drapey, which makes it like beautiful in certain situations, especially shawls or like flowy skirts or things like that. But with things that you want a little bit more structure or volume, and the 1890s, those big puffy sleeves and the big bloomers, you do kind of want, well, I don't think they're called bloomers, but you know, the kind of jodhpur style pants, especially for biking, they wanted that volume. That was part of the silhouette and the look. And the alpaca is not going to give that effect. And it is also quite heavy, so it might stretch out when I wear it. And so I'm currently sitting here thinking, do I just say, you know what, I need to start over with more appropriate yarn? And even if I'm not going to get the exact color match that I want for what I'm going for, I'll get a color that's close enough, but I can order more if I run out of it. And now I have a better idea of how much yarn I need too, so that helps. And then find a different use for the yarn that I've dyed and misdyed. Or do I still try to use it? Because I'm afraid that if I invest more time into this project and then it doesn't turn out the way that I'm hoping with the silhouette of the big puffy sleeves and the big puffy pants, it's going to be disappointing, especially when I'm a bit limited right now in my ability to hand knit. So I guess I'm posing it again to you all. What should I do with this project? Should I kind of put a line under it and say, you know what, we've learned a lot up until this point, and we know what we need to change. We know better how much yarn we need, so let's start over with this knowledge. And the pattern isn't one that I can knit with my personal knitting machine setup because it's a moss stitch, and you need to be able to do, what's it called, automatic switching between the two carriages, which I don't have. So I could also potentially do it on the knitting machine. I would just have to change the stitches slightly to something that would work on my knitting machine, which is also kind of like an interesting challenge to take on, but it wouldn't be the exact original pattern because my knitting machines can't do extended moss stitch. What a dilemma, but another reason why I'm sharing it with you, so that hopefully I can get some of your input and some of your feedback, and because there's so many of these that I really want to do and I really want to finish. I don't know sometimes in what direction I should take it, so I'm really hoping that some of you could maybe give me some of your input and tell me what you think and let me know what I should do. Now that we've gone through all of my UFOs and whips, I wanted to put it out there that I have been sitting and thinking on my Hexie Puff blanket and the idea that I floated in the last video on that, which is to get your help in finishing it. And I have decided that I do want to go ahead and do that. So you are under zero obligation to do this, but I'm opening it up to y'all should you want to do it and should you want to help me finish my Hexie Puff blanket. For the next maybe month and a half, I'll have a P.O. box open where you can send me some Hexie Puffs. I'm going to do a community post, and I will link that community post in the description below with like what size I'm looking for. I'll give a size range. I'll put in some links to free patterns to Hexie Puffs. You can do them however you want them. I think for this one, I know you can crochet them, but for this one, I think I'm going to go for knit Hexie Puffs. And because I want to do a flower pattern, I'll leave it up to you whether you want to send me like 6 matching petals, or like if you don't have enough for 6 matching, you can do like 3 and 3 or 2, 2, 2, maybe in the same color-ish family. That would be fun. Or you could send me some, however many Hexie Puffs you want, in like a yellow goldeny color for the centers of my flowers. And I guess my only last thing, I'm more than happy to accept stuffed Hexie Puffs, but I understand it's probably a lot less expensive to ship them to me flat, so feel free to ship them to me flat. The only thing that I would ask is that if you have or live with a cat, or if you have or live with a smoker, to please leave them unstuffed, because I am unfortunately insanely allergic to cats, and I know that you're probably not rubbing them on your cats. It's just I am so allergic that even if like a cat has been in a space and you knit in that space, I can tell. So I'll probably just soak them in a solution that I use. Because I unravel thrifted sweaters, I figured out how to do it in a way that I can manage, but it makes it harder if there's stuffing in it. Does that make sense? And I'm also very sensitive to second and third hand smoke. So if you do, I am happy to accept them. Just leave them unstuffed and maybe note that on the outside, but they're just going to get a little bit of bath and I will stuff them. But I am so thankful for definitely not a requirement. And if you're even considering doing this, I'm so thankful. Thank you so much. And I can't wait. I think it'll be really fun to work on this together. And like I said, I'll have it open for the next like 4 to 6-ish weeks, and we'll see how that goes, and I'll definitely put together a video of working on that and putting it all together. So thank you so much for watching. Again, I hope you've all had a really wonderful start to the new year, and if you haven't, I hope it turns around quickly. And I can't wait to tackle some of these UFOs, including the other UFO that I kind of hinted at, which is my Craftmas sweater. So we'll get to that, I promise, as soon as I can. I know that we're all busy, and so I appreciate that you decide to spend some of your precious time with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll see you again very soon. Bye! Can I get to it? There you go.